This catastrophic story begins by showing a future where very dangerous alien species have come to Earth. These alien species are so large, and they have tentacles that allow them to easily bring down large structures. These aliens have completely destroyed more than half of the cities, and their numbers are gradually increasing as they seek to take over the Earth. However, to counter this threat, the military forces of the entire country had to gather, and together they began trying to eliminate these creatures with nuclear bombs. But their numbers were continuously rising, which led to a large-scale recruitment of soldiers to eliminate the aliens so that future generations could live their lives peacefully. However, one zone has been turned into a home by these aliens, referred to as the affected zone. This area is inhabited by the most creatures and aliens, who leave nothing alive that comes in front of them. Large buildings are like toys to them, which they can break in an instant. The military forces had to take action, so they began making different plans to kill these creatures. We are then shown a man with a sniper rifle, aiming at someone. In fact, he is targeting members of a terrorist organization known for committing heinous crimes. The man takes aim and shoots directly at one of the terrorists' heads. The terrorist is killed, but when the man returns to his team members, no one recognizes him because he has disguised himself as a terrorist. Later, his identity is verified, confirming that he is a soldier. We are then introduced to some friends named Michael, Frankie, Carl, and Sean. They are all very good friends and also serve in the military. However, they have very little time left because a large team of soldiers is about to be sent on a mission, and they need to rejoin the military forces the next day. Therefore, they all spend time together, enjoying their personal lives. Although Michael and Carl have little to do, Frankie is busy with his girlfriend. And then, Sean's child was born. They all celebrated their personal moments well because they didn't know if they would ever meet their families again after today. After enjoying everything here, they went to watch a fight, not a fight among humans, but one between a dog and a small alien. The little alien immediately jumped on the dog and killed it, after which the dog's owner shot the alien as well. However, all these activities are illegal here, yet people continue to treat it as a joke. The next day, we see Michael, Frankie, Carl, and Sean heading out to join their batch. First, they are seated in a military helicopter and taken over the affected zone to show them the reality of how dangerous these aliens are. As they gradually advanced, several large aliens with tentacles began to get attracted to them, as these aliens cannot see at all and can only hear sounds. Michael was astonished to see these aliens for the first time because he had only seen them on the news before. In reality, these dangerous creatures could take anyone's life. However, one alien tries to grab the helicopter with its tentacle, but the pilot manages to control the helicopter and moves away from there. At their leader's signal, they dropped many bombs on the aliens to slow them down significantly. However, the small bombs had no effect on them and did not cause any damage. But if they continued to reduce their speed this way, they could eventually clear the area and continuously drop nuclear bombs on them, which would not cause problems for people and would also eliminate the aliens. For the time being, the entire team of soldiers arrives at their second base camp. There, their leader, named Forrest, is very strict, and another soldier named Freder is set to lead them. The soldiers were informed that this mission is much more important than the others, as the lives of the entire human race are at stake. If we fail to kill the aliens, they will take over us. So, no matter what happens, we must eliminate the aliens. After this entire lecture, all the soldiers left. This is a form of exercise for playing games, in which they played all types of games. However, during the play, Michael and a few others got into an argument and started fighting, but they were soldiers, and such things were common for them. Now, Michael's team had to go for patrolling, so they began moving around the very corner of the affected zone. All the soldiers arrived near a town where the condition was very dire. Due to the aliens and constant bombings, all their facilities had been destroyed, and the people there were struggling to survive. The civilians were also at great risk from terrorists who would come and take their resources away. All the soldiers met the children there and took selfies with them because all the kids considered the soldiers their heroes. They all thought that as long as the soldiers were with them, everything would be fine. But what those children didn't know was that the alien civilization was extremely dangerous and not to be underestimated, even by these soldiers. As they walked on, the soldiers reached a place where they were keeping an eye on a group. This was a group of civilians who were transferring something inside some containers. Michael and the other soldiers thought it must be water that was being transferred to the others, but their leader began to suspect that it might be a terrorist organization transferring weapons and explosives in those containers. They needed to confirm this suspicion, so at night, they quietly started to enter the farmhouse. But just then, the soldiers noticed that the creatures were approaching them from a short distance. They needed to finish their work quickly and leave without making any noise, as the large tentacled creatures were coming in that direction. So, the soldiers moved inside to do their job, but after a little bit of searching, an old man suddenly approached them. He started scolding them, saying, "What are you all doing here? You should leave, because of you many of our family members have been killed." The old man was reprimanding the American soldiers for their presence. Because all of their family members had been killed by the bombings, the old man was blaming the soldiers for this. The soldiers asked the old man what was in those containers and which terrorist organization he was working for. But the old man clearly stated that there were only resources for normal people, and he had no connection with any terrorist organization. He insisted that they leave because all the members of their families wanted to remain safe. The man kept approaching them, trying to explain that they should go away, but the soldiers needed confirmation. Due to all the noise, an alien was attracted to them and started destroying everything. As a result, one soldier struck the old man on the head, rendering him unconscious, while the other soldiers began firing at the alien creature. However, this alone was not going to be effective. But shortly thereafter, air forces arrived and started launching airstrikes on the alien creatures. Seizing the opportunity, all the soldiers fled from there. After returning to their unit, when their leader learned about everything that had happened, he scolded them severely. He said that they were working in a very unprofessional manner and that they should never let any civilian approach them because they could not tell if that person was normal or a terrorist. He pointed out that it could even be a suicide bomber, and a single mistake could endanger the entire team. Relating to these points, the leader continued to scold them, reminding all the soldiers to be more careful next time. Now, all the soldiers came together to devise a plan on how to eliminate the aliens, who were so large and powerful. We are now introduced to Commander Freder, who was very tense. He called his only daughter, but his wife did not pick up the call, as if there had been some argument between them. What this was about and what mental trauma he was going through was something only Freder knew. The next day, they were informed that 4 of their soldiers had gone missing in one part of the affected zone, and there was no news about their deaths. This means that they could be hiding somewhere, so our job will be to go and rescue them as quickly as possible because they were very important soldiers. Related to all this, Freder sets out with his team towards the affected zone. His team includes Michael, Frankie, Sean, and Carl, who are bravely moving forward. On the way to the affected zone, they see many creatures running around, but their intention was not to harm them. They were all living their normal lives. However, an alien gets hit by their military vehicle and dies on the spot. The soldiers feel sorry about this, but it was an accident. They all reach a point not far from where the soldiers are trapped. But as soon as they get down and take a rest, they come under fire from terrorists trying to kill the American soldiers. Everyone takes cover to save their lives and fires back, but unfortunately, Sean gets severely injured. He accidentally stepped on a minefield, which resulted in a broken leg, and he started losing a lot of blood. Carl somehow manages to rescue his friend Sean and brings him back behind their vehicle. Commander Freder, Michael, and Frankie continue to attack their enemies. Freder says they need to find a safe place because they are out in the open, and staying in an open ground is like inviting death. They are unaware of how many terrorists there are. The soldiers managed to counterattack and reached a spot where they found a way to shelter. However, they wouldn't be able to escape the terrorists this way, as the terrorists quickly surrounded them. Freder had already communicated with the command center and called for air support because they would not survive against the terrorists this way. Carl was treating Sean, who was severely wounded, but due to excessive blood loss, Sean ultimately dies. Carl, Michael, Frankie, and Freder are all very emotional about this. But Freder tells them that they need to get out of there, promising that they will come back later to retrieve Sean's body and give him a proper farewell. For now, they escape from that place and reach a very ruined area. After inspecting the area thoroughly, they feel that it is safe, so they sit down to relax. However, everyone is very sad about losing their dear friend. While they are in relaxation mode, Carl suddenly gets hit by a bullet and dies instantly, which means that the terrorist organization is still after them. Michael, Freder, and Frankie try to find a way inside, but Freder realizes that they cannot spot the sniper from such a distance, and the sniper will continue firing at them. Another bullet hits Michael, injuring him, and before they know it, dangerous members of the terrorist organization arrive. Freder tells his companions that in order to survive, they must surrender. The terrorists capture all 3 of them and take them to a chamber, where they begin to torture them severely. The terrorists especially target Frankie, who is verbally abusing them. They take Frankie to another room and torture him the most. They reach a level where they ultimately kill Frankie. Night falls quickly, and they realize that a very large creature is attacking their base, where the terrorists had kidnapped the soldiers. The The terrorists quickly come to confirm whether Freder and Michael are bound. But suddenly, Freder gets up and attacks one of the soldiers. He frees himself and quickly goes to save Michael, who is in bad shape due to his gunshot wound. When they enter the other room, they find that their friend Frankie has been killed. Michael feels terrible for losing 3 of his best friends at once. He is an orphan and has no family members. These were his 3 best friends who had lost their lives. As Michael moves forward a bit, he encounters the leader of the terrorists, whom he captures and beats up fiercely, venting his anger. He soon comes outside and sees the creature destroying the electricity towers. Its size was so enormous that it completely demolished the base as well. However, Freder advises Michael and takes him away from there. They need to go to a safe place at any cost, and they are currently in a desert area. Michael's condition has worsened so much that he can hardly walk, but Commander Freder encourages him, saying they only need to travel a short distance to rescue their trapped soldiers. Michael, deeply saddened by the loss of his friends, still gathers his courage and moves forward with Freder. While traveling, they run low on fuel due to the late hour and decide to stay in that rocky area for the night. Commander Freder has also realized that Michael is an orphan and that the friends he lost were his family. Surprisingly, Commander Freder has a complete family of his own, yet he still feels alone. The next morning, they set out again and witness a large creature damaged on the ground, a result of the Air Force's attack. A short distance away, they find a school bus and go inside to check it. Inside the bus, they find many dead bodies of children, which shocks Michael and Freder deeply. What crime did these little children commit? Their future was cut short before it even began. Michael's eyes fill with tears, but then he notices that one child is still breathing. He immediately rushes to him, trying to help him breathe. The child has suffered severe abdominal injuries that cannot heal. Freder makes every effort to save him, but Michael insists that it's unnecessary because even if the child survives, he will have to live his entire life with those disabilities. With no options left, suddenly some people from a group arrive. They take the child with them and lead the soldiers along. After so many days, Michael and Freder found water and began to wash their bodies. The group they were with had many ladies who were washing the clothes of that child. After a while, these people took Michael and Freder to their village. They did not work for the terrorist organization. Instead, they wanted to maintain peace all around and save humanity. That night, Michael noticed that many ladies from the group were moving toward the ground where people had died. When he went to that place, he saw that the women were gently covering the bodies of the children who had died in the bus and giving them a proper farewell, as if they were performing some type of ritual to grant peace to their souls. Michael noticed that a large tentacled creature was approaching them, but the ladies showed no fear. They stood calmly in front of it, and instead of attacking them, the creature emitted a strange kind of light. Michael was shocked to see this scene because it seemed that the creatures were expressing their sorrow over the loss of so many children. They spread their light around, as if to help every soul find peace and live a good life. Michael understood that these creatures were not as evil as they seemed. They were, in a way, maintaining the balance of the earth. On the other hand, Freder learned that the child had indeed recovered, but he would not survive for long. His faith in these people diminished because they could not save him, and soon after, the child died there. Freder became very angry with Michael for trusting these villagers instead of searching for their soldiers. He confronted Michael, saying that they needed to find their comrades first. So, Freder took Michael to another location where a small creature was present, which did not seem dangerous at all. This made them realize that not all creatures were harmful, they just needed to find out what the creatures wanted. Now, Freder and Michael had arrived at that same spot. Where their 4 soldiers were, they couldn't find anything after searching everywhere. Eventually, Freder spotted the dead bodies of his friends, meaning the terrorists had killed them. Freder lost his mind because they had come such a long way to rescue them, and in the process, many of their soldiers had lost their lives. He was very angry with the people living there, thinking that they must have conspired to kill his soldiers. In his rage, Freder went in with a gun and began to kill a civilian family. Michael felt that his commander was making a mistake. What was the fault of the family members? So, he shot his commander from behind to prevent him from harming the child. Michael managed to save the child, and after that, Freder realized that his companion was betraying him. But it dawned on him that he had become utterly helpless. Freder was shot and began to walk slowly outside, as he had lost all hope of surviving. In front of him, many alien creatures were visible, moving in the other direction. Freder died there, and Michael could only watch as the story came to an end.